And welcome to Off the Dome Sports. My name is Sean Militello. I am your host for this afternoon. Every afternoon I come on the show, I will be your host. Make sure you give a follow, like, share, subscribe on all social media platforms for me, please. That would be much appreciated from the bottom of my heart. Now, today, and today only. I lied, it won't be today only. But today, we're going to talk about some Pelicans. Some New Orleans Pelicans. Yesterday, we talked about the Saints. Now it's the Pelicans. I believe this is the first time I talked about Pelicans on this show this year, which is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, for majority of the season, I couldn't watch the Pelicans. Um, I have Hulu. I don't get any local channels, and if I did, I'm sure it would have been blacked out for some odd reason, which is highly frustrating. So with Valley Sports and all, but that's okay because I caught them there in the playoffs, and it was absolutely spectacular. I went to a playoff game this season with my friend Ryan, and it was awesome. Um, so today, we have some special topics about the New Orleans Pelicans. What I posted on Twitter. Um, Here are these three topic lines I have for you guys. And feel free to comment. Uh, Feel free. I will have the hotline posted down below in a few. Feel free to call or text the hotline 225-435-9448. That's your hotline number for tonight. Always going to be your hotline number, and that number is always ready for you to text or call at any time, preferably text after the show. Um, so here's your three topic lines here today on Off the Dome Sports. Talk about the New Orleans Pelicans, and starting off with the first one: do you trade or keep the eighth overall pick that you get from Lakers? That's my first topic line. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. My second one: what areas on this roster are you looking to upgrade? That's what we're going to talk about second. Third, expectations, period. What are they for next season for the Pelicans? Which I'm looking forward to that topic line. That's what I want to express to you tonight is expectations for next season. You see the title of this show, for this particular show, right? Are the New Orleans Pelicans a sleeping giant in the NBA right now? I don't know. I believe they are. I believe they are. So I hope everybody's having a great day. The sun is shining here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I live. Got off of work about 4 o'clock. Um, Made a bunch of sandwiches today. Yes, I make sandwiches for a living. Um, it is what it is. I'm not going to disclose which place. If you know me where you know where I work. But let's get to the first topic on. I'm going to post the question right here on this screen. Do you trade or keep the eighth overall pick? And that's been a topic since last night after last night's draft lottery. Um, we attained the eighth overall pick from the Los Angeles Lakers. I believe they had a top 10, not top 10, I believe it was like top 5 protected. Actually, I'm totally wrong on that. I'm not too sure how that was protected. It was protected somehow. Maybe I think if they would have fell out the lottery, they would have got to keep the pick. Maybe not too sure. Don't quote me on that. It was a very confusing trade to begin with all the moving pieces and how we fleece the Los Angeles Lakers. And to all the Los Angeles Laker fans saying we did not fleece y'all because Anthony Davis and the Lakers got a ring. And also, random, let me know if my mic sounds a little off. It was all flash show. It sounded like I was talking through a tunnel or pipe. Let me know if that's happening again. Hit for me. That would be much appreciated. But back on subject. Lakers fans think they won the trade from the very jump. They got a ring out of it. What has Anthony Davis done since then? What have the Los Angeles Lakers done since the bubble tournament, the bubble ring? Do you even count that? I don't know. So, do you trade or keep the pick? Um, in my honest opinion, I think you keep the pick. Keep the pick for now. It depends what options open during the draft, before the draft, even after the draft. You might be able to pick somebody and trade them after the draft. What I hate about the NBA with during the draft is you can't instantly trade. You got to wait until it gets approved. I've always hated that. I wish it was approved immediately. But anyways, I think you keep the eighth pick right right now until you get a trade offer, maybe somebody that can boost this roster. That's our second topic line. What areas are you looking to upgrade? Maybe it's for upgrade. Who knows? But I think for now, you keep the eighth overall pick, and a lot of people are skeptic about it because the last eighth overall picks or eighth overall picks, period, in the NBA draft have not produced it all that well. Franz Wagner, which is solid, he was solid. That was last year's eighth overall pick. Obi Toppin, what has he really done with the Knicks? Jackson Hayes, our very own Jackson Hayes. He's just now providing some sort of value, which I don't know. I do not know how long he's going to stay in a Pelicans uniform. Colin Sexton didn't play all year last year. Uh, Obviously, Darius Garland took his spot pretty much. I know Garland played a lot of two guard with Colin Sexton when Colin Sexton was healthy. Obviously, Garland is the better point guard period on that roster. Look for Sexton to be on the move this offseason. Frank, I can't even pronounce his last name, but Frank, not even a tip. He's the guard for France, I believe. Drafted by the Knicks. He's now with Dallas. He's actually doing a very good job defensively, but not the player that we thought he was going to be. Marquise Chris. I believe he's currently the Warriors. That's the last time I've heard where he was. Bust. Stanley Johnson, which I thought was going to be a good player. Bust. Nick Skouskis. Bust. Cardwell Pope. Not technically a bust, but nothing great. Nothing to write home with. Terrence Ross. Valuable veteran in this league. Great bench player, but nothing to write home with. Aminu. Former Pelican. Aminu. Bust. I can go on and on and on. I would say the best eighth overall pick out of this entire list is Rudy Gay back in 2006. Yeah, I mean, you got Andre Miller, Jamal Crawford, Larry Hughes on this list, eighth overall pick. But I would say Rudy Gay is your best eighth overall pick in the past 2 decades. So that's why a lot of people are skeptic. They want to trade the pick. I do. If you do trade the pick, I think you either trade down and you invest in next year's draft. Can you get a lottery pick in next year's draft? I think if you're not interested in the players in the top 10, you need to trade down, and that's what the eighth overall pick seems like. It seems like all the good players have passed and gone, and the guy you're picking at eight is probably somebody you could probably pick mid first round or later. So that is something to look at. But if the Pelicans do like somebody, uh, let's say Tari Eason, LSU boy, for example, if they like him, I think he's more than good enough to be the A for overall pick. He's a two-way wing, play probably one of the better defenders in the league. Good scorer. He can attack the basket against anybody. His shooting is a little iffy. He can become more consistent. He could be a better two-way wing in this league. Could be a potential starter. Not from day one, but eventually after he improves on his skills. A guy like that, you know, what I look at Herb Jones, a guy we got in the second round last year, I feel like that's what we need if we're going to draft a player. Period. That's the type of player we're going to need in this draft. If you're going to take a top 10 pick, you need somebody like a Herb Jones. Sadiq Bey, the Pistons, a guy I wanted instead of Kyler Lewis. I'm not too sure if Sadiq Bey was picked before Kyler Lewis, but he's the guy I wanted when the Pels were picking, what, 13 in that draft? A guy like that in this draft this offseason would be a huge addition to this roster. You need a win now guy in this draft. So, who's the most NBA ready that you could probably get at the eighth overall pick? I don't know. Let's look. NBA draft prospects. We'll search it right now. Who can we possibly get at eighth overall? We're going to look at the best remaining players on ESPN. So they're showing Chet, Chet at number one, Jabari Smith two, um, Banchero at three, Jaden Ivey, which is a lot of people wants at four, Keegan Murray, Sheldon Sharp, six, AJ Griffin at seven. Now, he's probably one of the better shooters in the draft. If he falls to eight, is he a potential guy to draft? He certainly is. And he would be worth that eighth overall pick. Besides instant shooting, kind of reminds me of last year's draft with Corey Kispert with his shooting. I'm not saying they're the two same players, but when it comes to shooting, he's that shooter of the draft, of this draft. Jalen Duren, Memphis center. Could you go with him? Eighth best player according to ESPN. I don't know. Do we need a center? Johnny Davis, ninth, 10. Dyson Daniels, 6'6" point guard. I heard he's a little rough around the edges when it comes to shooting. We get to a time of NBA basketball where your point guards are becoming 6'6" or taller. Josh Giddey, Kate Cunningham. You go with a type of player like him. Using the G League Ignite. Benedict Mathurin out of Arizona. Now, he's a guy that's kind of popular amongst the Pelicans crew on Twitter. They say he's a perfect fit. He's a scorer, which scoring is what we desperately need off the bench. And then you got a guy like, another weird name, don't judge me, Osman Dang out of Australia. He plays looks like he plays for the Australian Pro League. 6'10" wing. It's a point forward, basically. That's what it shows here. I have to look at any of these guys. It's going off what they have. So, I mean, there's several options you can go at eighth overall pick. It's up to the Pelicans to decide, do they like this player good enough that he can come in and contribute off the bench. He can't be a Trey Murphy, Jackson Hayes, Howard Lewis type of situation here. I know Trey Murphy popped off towards the end of the season, but he wasn't like that for probably three-fourths of the season, the regular season. He was probably like that towards a little bit after midway. You need somebody that can pop off right away. So I wish they would have showed age off to the side because I, I think in order to get a win now guy, a guy who is most NBA ready, Obviously, you're going to have to go with the older crowd in this draft. Who's a little older, who's been in school longer, who has a little bit more experience. I don't know who's that in this draft. I would have to do some more research. So let me know in the comments. Would you like to trade or keep this pick? Right now, I'm keeping the pick. I'm keeping the pick. Why not? It's an eighth overall pick. And honestly, what if you do get a developmental guy that falls to eight, like Chet from Gonzaga? I watched a little bit of him last night on YouTube. Wasn't really impressed. But he's rated as the number one overall pick. 7 foot, 195 pounds. He almost kind of plays like the old school center. He's gonna have to gain a little weight. You see a guy, he's gonna develop. He's gonna have to take some time to develop into a star as what they weighted him as. Is he a guy that could potentially fall to eight that you would like to take a chance on? I don't know. It'd be real interesting, wouldn't it? So let me know in the comments, trade or keep the eighth overall pick. And if you like the call in, here's the number 225 435 9448. If you want to call in, let me know your opinion about the Pelicans, or you can text. So I'm going to move off this question. I'm going to come back into comment. We're going to move to the next question. What areas on this roster are you looking to upgrade? You go look at the roster for next season. And you look at who's under contract. Damn near the entire roster you see this past season is going to be under contract next season. There's two guys I would like to move on, 100%, no doubt, like to move on from. That's Devontae Graham and Garrett Temple. Those two must be upgraded. Great guys. I feel like they could be. Well, Garrett Temple, he's just a veteran guy you have on the bench for federal. You don't really want to play him. But Devontae Graham, most importantly, uh, must be upgraded considering his role. He's just not a good fit. He's just really not a good fit. He's a volume shooter. He's streaky. He's not consistent enough what we need from his role off the bench. He he is the scoring off the bench, and that's why you see Willie Green going to him in the playoffs in crucial minutes in the playoffs. When your bench comes in, Devontae Graham was one of the first ones in, and a lot of people criticize that. But you got to understand, he's the only scoring they have on this bench. Trey Murphy, solid shooter. But you got to realize Trey Murphy hasn't developed part of his game where he could score at will. He can take the ball on ball and score at will. He hasn't developed that part of the game. A lot of his shooting, comes off guys like Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. If you notice, normally one of them two guys last year stayed in while the other one goes sit on the bench and take a breather while your bench guys come in and play a few minutes to give your starters some rest. And then once the one scorer is rest enough, then they'll take out the other starter. So Trey Murphy is a good asset to have around your main scorers. So let's look at it. Devontae Graham, he's under contract for next year. His contract, it's not bad at all. It's very movable. Very, very movable. We do have I believe, a trade exception. I think it's like up to $17 million. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. $17 million trade exception. Now, There's 4 there's 4 and they're mostly guards. There's 4 players that I could see upgrading from Devontae Graham, and 2 of them is gonna have to be starters, and a lot of people wouldn't like that, and I'm not too sure how realistic these options are, but D'Angelo Russell, he is one guy. He's under contract for next season, but next season he will be on an expiring contract. I don't know if the Timberwolves want to keep him. Is he a guy that you would like to trade for? He's on an expiring contract. He's not locked down long term. I know it's only about $30 million. Is he a guy that can help you get over the hump and become a good team and become to an elite team? I don't know. Is he willing to come off the bench? If he's the guy we want him to come off the bench, is he willing to come off the bench? You can play some serious minutes as a six man in this league. I have no doubt in my mind Russell can be an elite six man if he embraced that role. I'm talking 30 minutes off the bench. He can do that for us. I don't know if he would be willing to do that. And but if you were to plug and play him in the starting lineup, I don't necessarily think that would be a bad thing when you're looking at Russell, McCollum, Pi, Zion, and Jonas Valanciunas. And a lot of people wouldn't want to take Herb out the starting lineup, but you know, if you have a bunch of scoring in the starting lineup, you can just plug and play your defense. And the thing is, Herb Jones, Jose, guys like that who were big time in the playoffs, and we wouldn't have won shit without them. We would have won shit without them. Those are guys who I would like to see improve offensively and give us something on that offensive side. Herb Jones has potential. So does Jose. They both have potential, but they aren't what we need off the bench scoring wise. So D'Angelo Russell's one of them. Jalen Brunson, a guy you're seeing lining it up in the playoffs right now. He's currently an unrestricted free agent after the season ends. Is he a guy you could go offer after? I know he's going to be looking for 25 to $30 million a year, and you're going to have to lock him down long term, and he's going to have to be a starter. He's a starting guard in his league. Is he a guy you go after? You could do a sign and trade with Dallas. And I don't know what Dallas's motives are. If I was Dallas, I would resign and give Brunson whatever he wants, make it work. But Brunson, I know one thing for sure. Brunson is looking for a payday. Dallas or not. That's what it just seems to me. He's not going to pay. He's not going to take no pay cut in Dallas. I just know I don't know how much Kyle Lowry is making right now with Miami Heat. I just know that whatever he was worth at the time last season, I just know we're willing to pay top dollar, and I know that we probably offered more than a lot of teams that was after Lowry chose the Heat because that's a better winning situation than we were compared to the Heat. Obviously, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I wouldn't mind overpaying for Jalen Brunson. He could be the missing piece. You sign a trade with Dallas, you can give him whoever you want. It's like the Lonzo trade last season. I mean, we got Garrett Temple and Thomas Satoransky out of the deal. You really think those are two guys we really want? No. This is what the Bulls had to give up. Make a little wiggle room to attain Lonzo Ball. Now, Russell and Jalen Brunson are two guys that is probably the most unrealistic here. But those are two options on the table based off contract and their situations with their team that could be potentially realistic. Now, another guy, Terrence Ross. Now, he's not a guard. And he's also still under contract. But next year will be his last year on that contract. Is he a guy? I believe he still plays for the Magic. Is he a guy
You trade for savvy veteran, instant offense off the bench, knows his role. Could he be a missing piece off the bench? And I know, and I'm surprised some NBA team that was been trying to make a run hasn't tried to trade for him yet.
or I don't understand. Don't know why Terrence Ross is still in the Magic, but he would be a valuable piece and an upgrade to Devontae Graham. Now he would be a long term solution, obviously. So it doesn't matter anyway. You're just looking to upgrade the roster next season, and then we'll think about the future after next. There's one more guy. Oh, Colin Sexton. That's a big one. That is a guy that we heard rumors the Pelicans going maybe potentially interested in him last summer. Now he tears his ACL. All right, I think tears his ACL last year. Didn't play anything last year, and you saw Darius Garland absolutely become one of the premier guards in this league this past year and helped the Cavaliers make a playoff push and played in the play-in tournament. Well, I don't see him going back to the Cavs, and I don't see him the Cavs letting him back, especially when he gets a bad rep as a ball hog, a guy who takes a bunch of wild shots and a lot of bad rep like that. But is he a guy you go after this summer? I think he's the most realistic option out of them four. And I don't think you have to overpay him. I think last summer you would have to overpay him because I believe when we were interested in him, that was before there's ACL, right? I can't remember when before it was ACL. But knowing that he's a restricted free agent, I don't think the Cavs are going to match any offers. Maybe you could do a sign and trade and send Devontae Graham off to Cleveland, and you sign Colin Sexton to $20 to $30 million a year. He could be your sixth man. He could be your sixth man. He could absolutely be the guy we need off the bench. Plug and play starter as well. And ignore the dog in the background. He's a pain. He always barks at a tiny little 4 pound poodle. He always barks when she wants something. So we got our first comment. Ryan needed a scorer off the bench. We do. And I think Colin Sexton is that person. Is that person to upgrade from Devontae Graham. Now, I don't see anybody in this year's draft that can easily become the number one scorer off the bench for us in this draft. I mean, maybe AJ Griffin. Uh, a lot of people are big on Benedict Matthew Hunt from Arizona. A lot of people are big on him. Uh, I would have to do some more research and see who are the bucket getters in this draft, and I would think those are the type of guys we would be looking at if we did draft. Uh, use the eighth overall pick to draft someone. It would be a bucket getter. It'd be a defensive player. You can't go wrong with more defense. You really can't. And that's why I think Tari Eason it would be a good pick at 8. I'm not trying to be LSU biased, but I do think Tari Eason could be a good pick at 8. Ryan says trade up and draft Ivory. Maybe. You could try to trade up. Maybe trade the 8th overall pick and whatever it takes to trade up. Maybe trade Jackson Hayes and put him in the deal. Who knows? That's another guy that needs to be reevaluated. Is he a guy that needs to be moving on. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure on that situation. It just depends. I just know he's one of the first guys. If you were going to trade for somebody that would make a real difference on this team, he would be the first guy included in the trade. Now, I'm not. I'm not purposely putting him on the market and gonna for sure trade him. I still like Jackson Hayes, and I do like him as a power forward now. And what he's gonna have to do is, I see potential with him being a scoring, uh, attack the basket type of power forward from the perimeter. Now, what he's gonna have to do is maybe come up with a threat, some type of threat to shoot from the perimeter. 'Cause you can't always use your your vertical athleticism and speed to space the floor.
Or at some point, people are just gonna just leave you wide open at the 3-point line and just guard the paint and make sure you're not going through the back door. So he's going to have to pose some type of threat from the perimeter if he wants to keep his role. If not, I mean, you really need to see what you could do at the center position because we do need a backup center. And Willie, I love Willie, and he should be a forever Pelican, but he's not your backup center. You need somebody that could provide 15, 20 minutes a game that could come in for JV, who could start for JV if needed. And Jackson Hayes is obviously not the guy. Willie is a reserve player, a guy for depth. So that's another hole to fill. That's another position that a lot of people aren't looking at that possibly need an upgrade. Now I seen Miles Turner, and I'm not a
Big Miles Turner fan, but him off the bench and coming in for JB at that five spot would be a massive upgrade for this roster. I feel like he would fill in that role well. Now, as a starter, I don't think. I think he's a little bit overrated as a starter. That's where I draw the line with Miles Turner, and that's why I'm not a big Miles Turner fan because a lot of people seem to love him and love the fact that he can stretch the floor and he's such a defensive monster. And now he's not, but he can stretch the floor. And he's athletic and he's got length. Look, I'm not saying he's a bad defender. He's actually a good defender. I will give him that, but he's not some elite monster like people portray him to be. If he was, he wouldn't be on the trade block every single year like he is. If he was the defensive monster and the Pacers still wanted to trade him, he would be on another team by now. He's not. But I will say he would be the perfect fit for the guy to play behind Jonas. Give Jonas some breathing time, and maybe that's a guy. That's a spot where you might draft at the eighth position because there are some centers like the Mark Williams, Jalen Duran from Memphis, and so on. I mean, there are guys there that maybe fill in the spot and maybe be the answer long term once you don't have Jonas anymore. Maybe that's what you use for the eighth overall pick. The NBA draft, it is a lot different than the NFL draft. The NFL draft, you're kind of drafting what you need on the roster a lot of times. In the NBA, you're drafting who you think is going to be the best player and who has the best value, the better prospect. It's not necessarily the weak. Now, when you get down to these, teams who are more established, who have their roles in place and that have a core, then those type of teams, they do start to look for needs and they use the draft to fill them needs, and then that's how they keep the pipeline going, aka the Golden State Warriors. You've seen it with Jordan Poole. never in my life I thought Jordan Poole was going to be just as good as Klay Thompson one day. He's your future in Golden State. So can you get that type of unit and they draft Moses Moody, they draft Minga, who's going to be a replacement for Draymond Green? Jordan Poole, Moses Moody is going to be your future for the Warriors after Steph and Klay has moved on. Minga is going to be your future as well. So can you draft them type of guys? I don't know. And so if you look at it this offseason, you're looking to upgrade from Devontae Graham, and you're looking to upgrade the backup center spot. Those are the two main spots that you can upgrade. I think you need to get somebody a little better than Garrett Temple. I do think having a veteran is real important. I don't think there's nothing wrong with Garrett Temple, but maybe he should retire or fit. Maybe he should be on the coach's staff. I really do think it's. I would love to keep him on this team in some capacity, but I don't think he's worth for a roster spot. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. I don't think he's worth a roster spot for the New Orleans Pelicans. For the New Orleans Pelicans. I think he's a good leader, but at some point, when your name is called, I think you got to produce better than what you do produce. And he put a lot of minutes in the first half of the season. And he wasn't very great. So Devontae Graham, Garrett Temple, on a way to upgrade from the two. You got to feel the need for a backup center. Yeah, I know you got Larry Nance. And he's perfect for the five off the bench when you're going small. If you're going small, Larry's the guy. But I kind of like him at the four. Because at the four, you kind of him and Jackson Hayes, 4 and 5, you do play small. That does have a little bit of success. Jackson Hayes, man, he's got to improve a little bit more. His IQ is still so low. Still so low. So let's get to the next topic on expectations. What are they for next season? I think the expectations for next season is to be a top five team in the Western Conference. And I don't think that's too far fetched. I think Zion, the expectations for him for 2022, 2023 is to have
A Luca or Giannis effect on his team. He needs to play like a top 5 player in the NBA, top 10, whatever. He needs to show us, the organization, the NBA, that he's not going to play second fiddle to Brandon Ingram, because over this entire time, this has been Brandon Ingram's team. If Zion is as good as advertised, he needs to shut that down, and he needs to make it clear that he is the top dog. He's going to be the reason why we are going to be championship contenders. And to be quite frank, unless we get somebody of his caliber, I think he's our only shot of being championship contenders. I wouldn't say only shot. Well, let me rephrase it. He gives us a higher percentage.
if he's healthy, he's playing like he should be up to his potential. That's my number one expectation. Zion needs to come back. He needs to come back as one of the top players in the league. There's no there's no leeway around. Sure, if you're rusty, you come out the first 20 games a little rusty or so. Sure, I get it. But you had the whole year off. You're 100% healthy right now. You're eating right. You're playing. You're going in the gym every day. You have bonded with the team the last part of the season. There should be no excuses for Zion. When the season starts next season, there should be no reason why Zion is not a top five, top 10 player in this league next season.
Now, Brandon Ingram, if Zion Zion does become the best player on the roster next season, I think Brandon Ingram needs to keep doing what he's doing and still be the leader of this team. I think he's 100% the leader of this team. He's become the leader of this team. And I think he still will be the leader of this team, even with Zion being our best player. I think he needs to continue to be the voice. He needs to be the image. Because he has become more of a gritty player this season, which is what I love. He wasn't so gritty the year before that. He was a beast, though, at scoring, but he wasn't so gritty like he is now. He's hungry. You saw what he looks like when it takes the playoffs. You can't tell me Zion can be Giannis, and you can't tell me Brandon Ingram can be Chris Middleton 2.0, a rich man's Chris Middleton. So you got them two guys. Just them two guys alone. Just them two. I'm not even worried about CJ McCollum. Just them two alone should make you a top five. Now you look at CJ McCollum. My expectations for him. And he become, if he's going to be our starting point guard, if we're going to keep Herb Jones in the starting lineup, CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Bi, Sion, JB, I think CJ needs to be more a facilitator. And I'm not saying he wasn't last season. This past season, he had to take on a lot of the scoring responsibility because there's no Sion and there's no scoring off the bench. He has to become more a facilitator, and he's gonna have to learn how to play. Not learn, but he's gonna have to be an off-ball pest offensively. What can you do to set up Sion and Brandon Ingram offensively? What can you do for them? Where can you find your spot or find ways to get them in the best positions to score or pass to score? How can you get this team in the best spots for the most efficient shots? Can you become more of a Chris Paul in that aspect? Can you become more of a Kyle Lowry? And I know Kyle Lowry is a little on the older side, but when he was with the Raptors, I mean, he was the glue. He was the glue for that Raptors team. Kawhi was freaking amazing. Don't get me wrong. What Kawhi accomplished in Toronto is one of the most best performances I've ever seen by a player in 1 year. Looked like an all-time great season by any player. But without Laurie, Kawhi doesn't do what he's able to do. Laurie, not a guy who has high assist numbers, but he knows his spot each time in the court. He knows how to get his star players in the right position, and he knows when to hit a shot or take over. Kyle Lowry is just not this amazingly great star player who can, absolutely beat you, but he's probably one of the best team players in the NBA in this decade. Kyle Lowry. Can he be more of a Kyle Lowry? Be the glue guy. Be the guy to put your your best players in the best position.
Know where your best spot is as a player. And most importantly, my expectation, my expectations is to win. It is to go to the Western Conference. That's my expectation, and I don't think there's any reason why we can't. I think you can go in to the offseason, do what you're supposed to do, upgrade in the areas we need to upgrade, like we talked about in the last topic. Do what you're supposed to do. You can go into next season feeling confident, ready to go, even with the people who say, Herb, Trey, all these younger guys. I don't know about Jackson. You're getting Kyler Lewis back.
So there's your point guard. You needed the backup point guard. There it is. Now, can you find scoring off the bench? Can you
Find somebody that can back up Jonas? We'll see. So that's going to do it here on Off the Dome Sports. Not too sure when I'm going to go live next, but make sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, even TikTok. I'm moving on TikTok now. Make sure you go check that out. Check out my personal Twitter account. That's my use Twitter account right there at Sean underscore Militello one. You'll follow. I'll follow back. I even follow back on my Twitter. I always follow that unless you're crazy or something. But yeah, that's gonna do it here. I'm not the Dome School. I hope everybody has a great night. I hope Pelican uh, a championship. We'll see what happens. As far as the teams in the playoffs right now, I think that's a Pelican fan. Maybe we should take a hard look at these all four of these teams survive. They're still in the playoffs. Miami is a good example. A very good team with
guys who can play certain roles, and um, they really don't have. Jimmy Butler is a star player, but they really don't have a flat out world beater. I mean, so I mean, they have a good coach and they have a really good team. So that's a team to watch. Or even the Celtics, if they are to win a couple against the Heat, look at what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown has been able to accomplish as a young duo. Can Zion and Bi do that? Can those two be better than those two? Just to look at what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is able to do in what year 4 or 5, and then they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. They're not any older than Zion and Brandon Ingram. Can Zion and Brandon Ingram do what Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are doing right now? I think they could be better. So that's going to do it here on Off the Dome Sports. Like I said, make sure you give a like, follow, share, subscribe on all social media platforms. I will let you guys know when I will have
the next show. Hope I will try to get a guest on the next show. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I hope everybody has a great night. And I'll catch y'all on
flip side.